Good morning, welcome to another video. Today we're here at Manchester Piccadilly and we're going to be getting the train down to Norwich, so I hope you all stick around and see what the journey's like. Well, we've moved down to the platform now. We're just waiting here at platform 13 and 14 for the train. We've got about 20 minutes until it comes in, then we'll be off to Norwich.
The train approaching is
I'm heading all the way to Norwich from Manchester Piccadilly on the East Midlands Railway direct service. Departing from platform 13, we ease out of Manchester Piccadilly. Off to the right you can spot the old Mayfair depot. Once a bustling mail hub, is now a relic of another railway era. The ride is off to a smooth start, though the carriage itself already hints at seeing library days. More on that later. Soon enough we come to our first landmark, the mighty Stockport Viaduct. Built from 11 million bricks holding us sky high, these Victorian engineers clearly didn't believe in half measures. Down below us the Mersey River snakes along as we get the penthouse view for free, not bad for a standard ticket. After just a few minutes and a quick stop, we're rolling out Stockport once again. An Advantage service waits on the next platform as we pick up speed. From here the line bends south and soon we join the Hope Valley route, swapping cityscapes for the first hint of Peak District hills. Now the real scenery show begins. We've left the suburb behind and the Hope Valley line is living up to its name. Rolling green fields stitched together by dry stone walls, sheep scattered like someone sprinkled salt across the hills. From the right hand windows you'll catch flashes of hidden dales, farmhouses tucked into the folds and of the landscape. No Kinder Scout on this side, but the patchwork of meadows, woodlands and moorland holds its own. Here comes Edale, the gateway to the Pennine Way. Blink and you'll miss it, it's just a neat stone platform with a few handy hikers with rucksacks bigger than the station itself. While the views outside are postcard material, inside the train, well let's say, it's not quite as picture perfect as you're about to see. So we're on the train now and we're on travelling today on 17422 on our journey from Manchester to Norwich, and I've got to say I'm not very impressed. It's a very tatty looking train if you ask me. You can probably see by the seats behind me it's a bit dirty. I don't see if there's any power supply or USB ports on here. Apparently East Midland trains are doing a refurb of these 170 Turbostars, so maybe we're just unlucky with the one we've got today, but yeah, it's very poor in terms of the quality of the train. We ease into Sheffield, our second stop of the day and a key junction on the East Midlands route. From the right hand window there's no grand view of the station, but graffiti splashed retaining walls offer their own urban gallery, with brightly coloured and cryptic tags adding to the urban feel, a distinct contrast to the rolling hills we were in just minutes before. After a quick pause to swap passengers and a change of ends, we're off again, heading south to join the Midland Main Line. From here the pace quickens as we leave the rugged Peak District behind and aim for Nottingham, threading through Chesterfield and Alfreton along the way. As we head south in Sheffield, the scenery shifts. Gone are the rugged hills of the Peak District, in their place come long stretches of woodland. The track framed by trees that close in like a green tunnel. Every so often you'll find a weathered stone bridge that arches overhead. Quiet reminders of the old industrial routes that once crisscrossed this valley, different from the dramatic peaks, but still charming in its own way. This is the perfect moment to lean back and take it all in, and to give the onboard team some credit. The trolley crew have been relentless on today's journey, making 4 or 5 trips throughout the carriage, so refreshments like caffeine, biscuits or something stronger were never far away. This is excellent service, even if the ride itself has had a few bumps around the edges. Soon enough we arrive in Chesterfield, a station with layers of history. The current station was built in 1870 by the Midland Railway, replacing an earlier 1840 original. At the end of the platform you'll spot a Class 66 diesel parked in the siding. That's freight infrastructure doing what it's supposed to do, resting, waiting and readying for its next job. Chesterfield has long been a junction not just for passenger lines but also for freight and goods traffic. Sidings like that are evidence of how the mixed traffic still flows in the area. From here we'll roll on to Alfreton, heading ever closer to Nottingham. Next stop, Alfreton, a small Derbyshire station with a surprisingly eventful past. It first opened in 1862 under the Midland Railway banner, later picking up a rather grand title, Alfreton and South Normanton. The beaching cuts closed it in 1967, but the rails won that round. By 73, it was back in business at Alfreton and Mansfield Parkway, before finally setting on plain old Alfreton once Mansfield regained its own trains in the 90s. Look around, you'll notice some modern touches too: new lifts, ramps, and a rebuilt footbridge from a recent multi-million pound upgrade, making this one sleepy stop far more accessible than its old Victorian days. All of this sits on the historic Midland Main Line, the 19th century artery that linked London St Pancras to the East Midlands and Yorkshire. Even today it remains a mix of fast passenger runs and heavy freight, and echoed the old industrial Midlands. As we ease out of Alfreton and pick up speed towards Nottingham, the countryside slips past red brick terraces giving way to open fields. Outside everything looks crisp and cared for, which is more than I can say about the train's toilets. So these are the onboard toilets, and like the rest of the train, they're pretty dire. It's very worn. You can see here on the mirror, the writing. There's dirt down there in the corner on both sides, and all the signs are wearing off. But yeah, much like the seating on this East Midlands train's journey today, it's just very, very run down and not very good for a passenger experience, I've got to say. So we're soon going to be pulling into Nottingham, where the train is going to separate. So 3 carriages are going to finish here. The 3 carriages that we're in are going to continue down to Norwich, and it's about 8 minutes behind. So we'll have a little 10-minute stop over here while the carriages split.
We are now approaching Nottingham. Change here for EMR intercity services to London St Pancras, services to Birmingham New Street, and EMR regional routes. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to our team or text the British Transport Police on 61016. We'll sort it. See it, say it, sort it.
Yeah, so as I was saying, we'll basically get into Nottingham. The train splits in 2 then at this point, and the part we're in will continue down across to Grantham and the East Coast Main Line, through Peterborough and then Ely, and then over towards Norwich. Part of Nottingham now, and we're just making our way a little bit of a line from Nottingham over to Grantham, where we join the East Coast Main Line. Then we take a trip down our next main line of the day, after the Midland Main Line, which is travelling through from Sheffield to Nottingham, as we travel from Grantham to Peterborough on the East Coast. Rolling east out of Nottingham, the scenery really stretches its legs. Wide Lincolnshire fields slide by in a patchwork of golden green, with the occasional church spire keeping the watch. After the hills of Derbyshire, it feels almost endless out here. Big skies and long, arrow straight rails. A proper chance to sit back and let the countryside do the talking. And here it is, a highlight for any rail fans as we swing onto the East Coast Main Line. This is a historic high-speed corridor of the Blind Scotsman and the Mallards stitched together. In the 1850s, it's still one of Britain's quickest routes. You can almost imagine those old steam giants thundering through, what scoops down racing to beat the clock. Today it's electric units doing the honour, but its pedigree is unmistakable. Finally we arrive into Grantham Station, as it slides into view with its longest platforms and classic brickworks. And look at that, parked just across the way, an LNER Class 91. It's always a treat to spot one of these sleek workhorses that defined express travel for 3 decades. We only pause here for a moment, but it's a neat reminder that we now share the rails with some serious mainline history before pressing on towards Norwich. Southward now, and it's back to the rolling hills, fields and the calm countryside, with the odd level crossing thrown in. Trees parting for the track, hedgerows softening the edges of the view. This stretch always reminds me that getting off the beaten track doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes it's about gentle, steady scenes that let you breathe and enjoy the journey. The gentle countryside soon gives way to something much more industrial. The vast freight yard just north of Peterborough contains stacked Class 66 diesel locos shunting about, and the sidings stretch off in every direction. It's a reminder that freight is as much a part of the railway life here as passenger journeys. In recent years, GB Rail Freight has made a big investment up here. A new maintenance hub and several intermodal length sidings have been added to the northern part of the yard. The facility costs about £5.75 million and was just completed in 10 months. It sits right beside the East Coast Main Line, giving access to goods for both north and south. Its daily operations of busy wagons and locomotives moves in and out consistently. Intermodal services, containers or flat wagons, are a big part of the traffic, and the maintenance hub means GB Rail Freight can lay up services and return rolling stock more efficiently. The aim is to run smoothly, like 80 intermodal services a day through Peterborough by 2025, partly driven by this expansion. So this yard isn't just a backdrop, it's a working, involving part of the network where rail infrastructure meets in full view. Pulling into Peterborough now, and what a contrast to the earlier Grantham stop. There's a LNER Class 108 Azuma in Chris colours waiting on the next platform. Sleek, modern, electric, and very much the newer generation. Seeing the 801 beside the old heritage machines unlikes how the rail service is always transitioning. Freight yards and the old engines doing the heavy lifting, but here, too, are clean, fast services pushing forward. As we leave Peterborough behind, the scenery shifts again, out of the freight and bustle and onto the Harewood line. Wind turbines turning steadily in the distance, spinning energy out the open air. It's a reminder that this part of the east of England balances the old and the new. Farmland, skies, wind farms, all quite functional and alive. The flat rolling fields of the Fens stretch away almost endlessly. The low-lying region is full of stories long before the tracks were laid. After the Ice Age, these lands were flooded with seawater over and over, salt marshes and freshwater marshes, then peat forming in places where the water remained still enough. Over time, people drained them by windmills and sluices by engineering work, transforming marshes and mere into some of the richest soil in England. The black peat earth is what makes the fields here so lush and productive today. Yes, it's flat, but it doesn't feel boring. The horizon, the sky, the sense of space, and knowing that underneath your boots, or your tyres, or train tracks, there's peat, ancient woodlands drowned, and water held back by human hands. Now we pull into Ely, one of the jewels of this landscape, perched on a ridge of harder ground so it stands slightly above the surrounding fens. Ely Station opened in 1845 with the arrival of the East Counties Railway, and it quickly became a junction for lines heading in many directions, north to Kings Lynn, west to Peterborough, east to Suffolk, and south towards Cambridge and London. Besides the station flows the Great River Ouse, long used for navigation, trade, and later recreation. Boats line up here, leisure crafts, river trips, and the broad waters that hint of the Norfolk Cross to come. From here, Ely feels like a hinged town, holding the edge of the Ferns, looking across the water and sky, and the resting point before the final stretch towards Norwich. As we ease back out of Ely with a little shuffle of the points on a gentle reverse, the carriages glide past neat Cambridgeshire farms. Out the window is a rolling patchwork of the late season crops, gold, green, and that deep black fen soil that grows almost anything. If you give it half a chance, it's a sort of landscape where you can almost smell the harvest, even from the seal carriage. Before too long, we hit our final pause before Norwich, Thetford, a quiet Norfolk market town with a deep roots, once a Saxon settlement and later a hub for Norfolk lines when the railway came through in the mid-19th century. The station still carries that classic country junction feel. A brief stop for us, but the last chance to stretch your legs before we roll onto the city of Norwich and end today's ride. As we leave Thetford, the landscape tightens up, but it's not a tunnel of trees this time. It's low Norfolk scrub, wide-skirt gorse, bracken and sand heath stretching in short, scrappy bushes beside the line. Then we leave the country behind as industry pops back into view. On the left sits a working cement plant, its silos, conveyors rising above the scrubs. Look closely and you'll spot the sidings feeding straight into the complex. Freight has always been a part of Norwich rail DNA. Even in the steam era, wagons of grain, coal and stone came and went from the yards like this. Today it's powdered cement arriving by rail, and finished mixers heading back out to building sites across East Anglia. A small scene, but proof that the railway here still earns and keeps moving more than just passengers. Then moments later we glide into a spring bridge over the river. Below the waterways leading towards the Norfolk Broads, a glimpse of what you can explore in this area. Just beyond the bridge sprawls Crown Point, Greater Anglia's beating heart. Built in 1982 for brand new electric intercity services, the site has been modernised again and again. Today it maintains the Swiss-built Stadler FLIRT series. These sleek bi-models that slip almost silently through the countryside and make these old carriages feel every one of their years. I'll be boarding one of those trains soon for another trip, so stick around. And here we are, Norwich Station, opened in 1844 and still wearing its grand Victorian roof. It's fitting to finish a cross-country ride that's shown some of England's best scenery, from Manchester's mighty viaducts, through the dramas of the peaks, the wide Lincolnshire skies, and finally, the shrugged approach of the Norfolk scenery. It's been a feast for the eyes. Service-wise, the staff have been excellent, and the trolley crew relentless in the best way. But the train itself, that was another story. Hired seats, rattling fittings, and the infamous loos. Let's just say East Midlands could give the stunning landscapes a much better frame. Now it's time for some of my final thoughts. Well, we made it to Norwich. I'm checked into my hotel now, and I've got to say that was an interesting ride. To be fair to the staff on the train, they were nice and friendly. The trolley service came up and down quite a few times. I think 4 times the trolley service came through the garages, but the train itself was just very disappointing. Didn't look very maintained. The bathroom was filthy. Those crumbs down the seats, it was tatty, and it's much in need of a refurb, just from an passenger experience perspective. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure you click the like button, click the subscribe button, and join me for more trips on the British Rail Network. For now though, goodbye.